to the Fancy Thinker. I'm Jared, and how's everybody doing? If you're new to my channel, you are about to find out that sometimes I just like to do these impromptu deep dives into something I just read. Uh, and this is something that, because I just like to go through and put out my thoughts on something that I feel is going to be a momentous read, a read worthy of looking further into, and it doesn't always happen with everything. There's tons of books that I've read that I haven't done this for, and I've only done this for a few books, a couple actually. Um, I've done it for mostly Stephen Erickson books. Actually, all Stephen Erickson books. And well, we kind of did it with the Wars of Light and Shadow in the groups discussions. You know, we went really deep into that whole series, and we also went really deep into. Well, I went really deep into the end of the last few books of the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and then I went really deep into Forge of Darkness, and I've also done Assassin's Apprentice, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So now I have just started for my first time ever reading this book called The Darkness Comes Before by R. Scott Bakker, the first book in the Prince of Nothing trilogy. And of course, I've heard a lot about this series. A lot of people have talked about this series, and I've always wanted to get to it, and I finally picked up this copy at the ICFA conference, the International Conference for the Fantastic in the Arts. And so I was like, oh, it was there in front of me. So I was like, all right, I finally will pick this up and I will check it out. I mean, it does have a quote from Stephen Erickson on the front, so that bodes well for me. As some of you may know, I picked up Stephen Erickson originally because it had a quote from Stephen Donaldson on the front of his, and I tend to like the recommended works of authors that I like. Yeah, okay. So, so right now, for today, I was looking through the book. I was looking through the contents, and I see that this book is broken up into 5 parts, and it has a prologue, and it also has appendices, and these appendices consist of maps, which is cool, and it also has major languages and dialects of Iowa, I think. I'm not sure how you say that, but and characters and factions glossary. That's always nice. So, and I always look through the maps. I like to know where we are, and I like to know my place, where of the place of the events, that are happening in what I'm reading, and that wasn't always possible with some of the Malazan stuff. All right, but I usually it was all right. Usually it was pretty good with the Malazan stuff. The maps in there were pretty good, and I gotta say the maps in here aren't giving me the warm fuzzies yet. Well, maybe once I get further into the story, I'll have a better sense of place. But for now, that is how I approach that. So I'm just gonna go over the prologue today, and I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna do it chapter by chapter like I did with Forge of Darkness, the Carcanus book. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do the parts. There's 5 parts to this book, and so whenever I finish part 1, I may come back here and revisit you guys and see how it's going, or I may just say, you know what, the heck with it, I'm done. So we'll see. So starting with the prologue here. This is the prologue in here for this. I'm assuming it's a prologue for the trilogy. I don't know for sure. It could be just for this book, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. The prologue starts with it gives you uh, we have nice little epigraphs here. I like that. Always a big fan of those. And and this starts off the waste of Kuniori. There's going to be a bunch of pronunciation mishaps in this video, so please forgive me. The waste of Kuniori, and it says it is only after if it is only after that we understand what has come before, then we understand nothing. Thus we shall define the soul as follows: that which precedes everything. So some sort of analytics of men. Um, and this epigraph then moves on to give us a year. So we have years, we have a calendar, we have dates. We have 2147, the year of the Tusk, the mountains of Demua. And so what I came to find out looking forward is that this is about 2,000 years prior to anything else. And it goes on to tell us about some sort of hiking, secret refuge. It tells us about something called a no god. What does that mean? I mean, I'm a no god. This book's a no god. I mean, yeah. So, anyways, it tells you something about that. And it tells you, yeah, like I said, about this high king who, I don't know, looks like he's just come to some sort of plague. And there's some other stuff. There's a Bakker priest. There's, some snow breaking. There's, so in this, this dude called a Dunyan chiseled some sorcerous runes from the walls and burned the Grand Vizier's books. And this was he mentioned something called a young Anasurimbor, and this word pops up later. So I think that's an important word. And there's a boy and a father, and then it ends with the world forgot them for 2,000 years before getting further into time with the next little prologue section here that has a couple more epigraphs before it, and then it goes into late autumn 4109, year of the Tusk. And is that the same year? It is. They're both year of the Tusk. So this is probably cyclical. This year of the something is probably cyclical, like the Chinese calendar. So that's something to keep an eye on, I guess. And well, that's interesting because I think the first chapter, looking ahead, peeking ahead. See, that says year of the Tusk as well. And that's a year ahead. So maybe that means something else. Has not been defined yet. So, I've heard, from all my friends who have read this on BookTube and from my friends at Page Chewing, that, this is a pretty deep read. It's very involved. There's a lot you can miss, and I'm sure that I'm going to miss a lot as we go on here. But so what does this year of the Tusk mean? Because it doesn't seem to correlate with numbers at all. Maybe year of the Tusk. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll find out. We'll see. All right. And so we have another Anasurimbor, almost 2,000 years later here. Kelhus leaned on his knee. He's he's climbing these trails and going on, and he's all by himself, and he's going to this place called Shimeh, 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 and but he doesn't quite make it, I don't think, because I think somebody here rescues him. And he's wondering about something. He's wondering. I underlines a line here. He says, "How could water taste sweet? How could sunlight broken across the back of rushing waters be so beautiful?" And that's interesting because this I've heard a lot of that. This is a very dark series, but that's a very beautiful passage. So we'll see. We'll see if that continues. All right. Yeah, he's in an immense valley. He's struck breathless. It's very cold, and he's wandering through. He's studying stuff. He's looking at squirrels, and he's looking at he's considering his nature as an animal or as not an animal. He says he's above animal. Then let's see here. So apparently, Kelos he ran out of food. He succumbed to the cold. He I don't know why he's traveling, but I think we'll find out someday. But he's in dire straits, but he's rescued by a man named Lueth, who at first doesn't know his language, but quickly learns it. And so Lueth rescues him. They become buddies, and so this guy Lueth, I guess his wife or his loved one must have died, and he left this place so that he could be alone. And then they get attacked by these things called, what are they called? Let's see here. Oh no, wait. First they're discussing things. They're discussing the gods, and this was an interesting line. They the world was fraught with gods, ghosts, even demons. And he says, like a second horizon, their designs encompassed the struggles of men, shrouded, cruel, and in the end, always fatal. So the gods don't seem to be any help to general survival and stuff like that here in this setting. So Kelhes is telling this guy he's searching for his father, Mongus, however you say that. And they talk about why something is holy or not holy. This place called Shime is supposed to be holy. Kind of, I don't know. I'm getting an image of Mecca in my head when I read this stuff, but and they say stuff like the three seas were young when the north was destroyed by the no god. There's that no god again. In his consult. Okay. Interesting. I have a feeling that's important. And all right, so then we go on further into the we're still in the like I said, I'm just doing the prologue today. And this guy has dogs, and they start so they start barking, and this guy Kellis is like, we must flee. And they come, and he's talking about these creatures called what are they called? I'll get there. Srank. SRANC. Shrunk or shrank. Shrunk. And they're getting attacked by these guys, and one of them takes an arrow, and it's not good. And I don't know what these creatures are, but this guy Kel Hus defends his friend, faces off against one of them. He does pretty well. Looks like he's some sort of warrior monk who can really move and do some battle. And but this guy, he ends up defending against what he calls a non-man. This shrank, and then they managed to break free and they managed to run because this shrunk is starting to bring forth some sorcery, and this sorcery, and he wonders, is this among the lessons I'm to learn, Father? Yeah. And that's how it's left. It's left with them fleeing this shrunk who has sorcery, and that's the end of the prologue. So, what does it all mean? I don't know. I'm far too far too early into this series to do that. But my plan is I'm going to read it slowly. It's going to be a slow read. I'm not going to be, coming on here next week and going over part one. This is going to be a while, so we'll see how my reading on this progresses, and we'll see how if I want to get into doing just a general talk about part one. So, with all that said, let me know if you've read these books and what you got out of the prologue as well. I find it a very interesting setup. I'm excited to read on, and I look forward to learning more about this world and learning um, the different peoples, and there seem to be this warrior monk dude seems to be from a certain sect or pack or uh, you know something like that, and faction, and I want to learn why this guy needs to go to this holy place, and why his father seemingly sent him there, or whether he just thinks his father did. And so yeah, it looks cool. Looks cool. Quite excited to move on in this series, in this book, and I think it's been a long time coming, don't you? All right. With all that said, be good to each other, and thank you for watching.